100.3 Skies Metro FM. Welcome to the show, the SKKRR show. Ngithemba balaleli liyaphila namhlanje, yimo Miss V and siyaqhubeka namhla ngohlelo uhlelo lwethu ole medical talks. I have with me on in the studio Dr. Derek Matsika, and namhlanje we're going to be talking about chronic illnesses. I'd like to apologize for last week. Unfortunately, we had some Mayanzia, wait, stop. I think we have to redo this because you were talking.
I said, let me leave, and then you begin.
Okay, then cut this. Cut this.
Cut it out, but just let me leave first.
Okay.
So Puma, we can continue, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll stop then. You're still there. 100.3 Skies Metro FM. Welcome to the SKKRR show. Yimilo, your host, Miss V, and I am going to be a radio bay for the next 30 minutes. We're going to be with the good doctor, Dr. Derek Matsika, and we're going to be talking about chronic illnesses, anjing BP, diabetes. For those of you who don't know, we've been doing this medical show for I think last week, for those of you who didn't watch, you can head on to the Facebook page of Skies Metro FM and check out Kulumanye Cancer. Then just watch it or share it to someone else, Elimazio, who's suffering from cancer, and they can get some very good tips from the good doctor. So, Dr. Derek, how are you doing today?
Good evening. How are you? And good evening to all the listeners. Salwanani, hope you had a lovely week since the week has come to an end.
Yes, I mean, I had a very great week. So, Dokotela, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Suppose abalaleli bethu would like to pay you a visit.
Okay, I'm Dr. Matsika. I'm currently GP practicing in Blawayo, Central Blawayo, along Parenyato between 8 and 9. I also work for government under UBH, where I'm a GMO under the what we call surgical department, specifically CT Urosurgery or urogenital surgery. When I'm at UBH, but my private practice is in Central Blawayo, which is Parenyato between 8 and 9.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
So let's just get straight to it. Dokotela, chronic illnesses, BP. What is that?
Okay, BP, what we call non-communicable diseases, and generally imkhuhlane esikhona ithelelwa directly, though of course isiqiniseni siyakwazi ukuthi khona most of them yathelelwana via ama-genes. Nxa umama lobaba beke babalayo kumbe ugogo wabalawo, kule chance ukuthi abantwana labazukulu labo bazanjani bazabambela umkhuhlane wankhona. Nxa sikhuluma nge-BP, we're talking about the pressure ehamba igazi phakathi kwemthambo. I usually use the analog yama-water pipes nxa ngikhuluma lama-patients ami ukuthi u-engineer nxa elungisa i-pipe ezathwala amanzi from edam isize empompini yakho, kule pressure abayisebenzisayo ukuthi amanzane ehambe. Now, the pressure has to be right ukuthi nxa uvula impompi yakho ikhipha amanzi ngendlela othanda ngayo. If the pressure is too high, that water pipe will burst. If the pressure is too low, amanzi afiki emzini wakho kumbe in your home. So it's the same thing with blood pressure. When the heart pumps, it has to pump at the right pressure so that the blood vessels or the blood can flow within the vessels to and from the heart. Now, if it's too high, that just like as I said in the water pipes, intambi yamagazi yalimala. If it's too low, not enough blood will flow, and that's when people then complain of what we call hypo, which is the opposite of hypertension or high blood pressure.
Interesting. Yes. And then mostly it's easy for us to assume ukuthi i-BP tholakala ebantwini abadala, umama bethu, obaba bethu, labogogo, labokhulu. But is that always the case? Can young people get high blood pressure? Is it like age definition, ukuthi like from this age to this age, you're likely to have a BP, and from this age, not so?
Well, unfortunately, it's a common misnomer. We assume ukuthi khona i-BP lethwa stress. Unfortunately, it's partly stress yenza kube worse, but stress is not the cause. So you can have blood pressure from a child to an adult, regardless of age. However, it's more common in adults. or the elderly. Reason being, as we grow older, our body sort of loses its flexibility and imtambe to become rigid. So when your heart pumps harder, your vessels fail to be flexible or to accommodate that. So you'll find ukuthi BP life futhi ile ndlela esikhuluma ngayo when we come to medicine. There's what we call the essential blood pressure, which is the commonest or primary, as we used to call it kudala. Ukuthi BP evumbulukayo ngokukhula noma kungala actual direct cause to it. Then bese siba le sithi secondary, whereby sithi khona le BP not ukuthi yona iBP eqalileyo, but wele BP ngoba kulokunye okwenzakaleyo, and that's the one that tends to be common in the younger, like abantwana abancane, abantwana abasanda ukuzalwa. You'll find ukuthi umuntu engaba le, for example, i-problem yezinso, or what we call a kidney disease. Irregardless of the age of that person will also develop blood pressure secondary to that. So it becomes sort of a secondary blood pressure. But you can have blood pressure from a newborn up to 100-year-old. But the causes, of course, will differ depending on the profile of the person.
So, Balaleli, if you have any questions for our good doctor, please feel free to send a WhatsApp message on 0714-460-100. As you know, Hello, it's just 30 minutes, so first come, first serve. Uqala ukusenda ama-question akhe awakazaphendula, so make it quick. Ongakwaziyo ukuthi ule BP, how do they actually know ukuthi bale BP? Like, are there any symptoms that they develop? Maybe aqala ukuginqa kakhulu, or you just encounter some discomfort. What are the first signs that people should look out for to like make them kind of like aware of what they could have high blood pressure?
Now, blood pressure, unfortunately, it's one of those tricky diseases. Ukuthi yona ngwayo ebantwini abaningi sihamba silayo kodwa singazi. And knowing most of our people in terms of health-seeking behavior, we only go to the doctor when we have a headache or when we have some pain or something is happening to our body. And that's the tricky thing about your blood pressure. Abantu abaningi asila ngichinking. We have absolutely nothing wrong with us. But those few that do have, usually the most commonest that we tend to find are headaches. You can have problems with headaches. You can have problems. Unfortunately, some will come in sitting is complications. Complications where something has gone wrong. Like, for example, a stroke, heart failure, kidney failure, or you've got what's called ischemic diseases, where the blood vessels have now collapsed and there's no flow of blood to a certain part of your body. So those few, unfortunately, they come in and they're more sick and they've now developed a complication. But a majority of our people actually won't have symptoms. So what we tend to advise is, EBP is not a very difficult thing to find out. It's just a simple walk into a clinic, simple walk into a pharmacy, check it BP, blood pressure, it doesn't take much. Usually it's just a minute or two, and that's done. Even cost-wise, majority you'll find, I think most pharmacies will charge you $1. Some clinics will even do it for free. But one important clue for people who might suspect or who might think they have blood pressure, as I said, majority tends to run in the family. So if your father or mother have had high blood pressure at some point or are actually hypertensive as we speak, it's always prudent to know that you have a more than 50% chance that you will also have it as an individual. So it would be nice that if you are to have it, pick it up early so that you know what things to do in terms of lifestyle, in terms of food, in terms of activities, so that you don't end up finding yourself taking 6-8 tablets all at once. And that can be a burden for most people. I find most people struggle with that. For the rest of your life. So the earlier you pick it up, the more chances we have of lifestyle changes that can make life better for you. But majority, unfortunately, we don't feel anything.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part. Yes.
But then high blood pressure is not the only problem we should be worried about when it comes to BP. There is also low blood pressure. Which one is more dangerous, high or low?
Now, you'll find the low tends to be more dramatic human symptoms. As I said, as I was talking about analog water pumps. If city council was to pump at a very low pressure, you won't get water coming to your tap. So it will mean automatically you'll have thirst. You'll immediately feel it. And low blood pressure, as I say, tends to be more dramatic. You tend to get dizzy spells, fainting episodes. So you'll find most people will quickly identify hypo or low blood pressure, as you said. than high blood pressure. High blood pressure, in most cases, it tends to come gradual. So you find most people bazaphuza ukuya bezodinga uncedo ngoba umzimba yabo ama-first days yabe-accommodate, imizimba yabo yabe-adapter, imizimba yabo yabe isitshela no ikhwele mbijana ukuthi ngitshaye plan ngibone ukuthi how can I adjust to this high blood pressure. But yes, all of them are very dangerous. All of them are very, very dangerous because the moment less blood flows to your brain can't function. At the same time, when the blood pressure is too high and the blood vessels burst and you get into a stroke, that can cause sudden death. So both of them are dangerous and both of them require treatment.
Uh-huh. Okay. And then, so for laba sebele BP who already know they have it, they are on medication. What kind of medicine, like a PY? Is it a one size fits all, or like omunye lomunye or pure different kinds of medicine?
Imizimba yethu as people tends to be different. We're all different individuals, and we all possess different genes. So we never give one size fits all. Yes, naturally, when we start, we don't know some of your weaknesses of your body or some of your strengths. There are certain things that we call guidelines that we use. You'll find blacks generally do better with certain tablets compared to whites, or Zimbabweans do better. Also, there's an issue of cost and economics that we always try and factor in. So you'll find most of our cases, most of our patients, when we start, we tend to start with similar drugs. But that does not mean every drug is the same for everyone. There are things called side effects. There are things called complications from the blood pressure itself. Some people will come to us, as I said, majority of people in our communities come to us when they now have other problems or complications with the blood pressure. So I have to tailor make the medication to say, okay, ule BP, but also maybe your heart is damaged, or maybe your kidney is damaged, or maybe you have suffered a stroke. So I have to add in a drug that will have an advantage towards that. A drug that maybe has to protect your kidneys, or maybe if I have something also extra like diabetes, I have to put in a drug that will be also softer on terms of your sugars, but at the same time protect you from both sides. So there's no one size fits all. So it's important for people to know, Guti, just because today you don't have tablets does not necessarily mean you can pick a tablet from your friend next door. It's important to remember that we are all different people and our genes are changing. So it's not a one size fits all. Yes.
Exactly. We just got a message. Balaleli, I'll give you the number one more time, 0714-460-100, or just head on to the Skies Metro Facebook page and write your message there, and we'll be sure to read it. We got a message. Omunye uyabuza uthi, hello, how do I control low blood pressure? My BP is always below normal every time I visit the doctor.
Now, the first important thing is when they visit to the doctor, what is the reason for a visit? Now, when we decide what is normal, what is abnormal, we tend to take a population of people and say 95% of people or 99% of people fall within this, and we call it normal. There are some people out there who, when we read their blood pressures, might look like it's low. However, when you ask them, no, but doc, I'm feeling okay, I have no problem. You do blood tests, you find everything is normal. Those are exceptions. So it's always important to understand, Uguti, what has made them go to the doctor. Are they having dizzy spells? If they're dizzy spells, is their blood pressure low because they've enough blood, or is it low because they don't have enough blood? If it's low blood, then the doctor finds a way to make sure that the body produces more blood. They give them support, whether is it giving them tablets to enhance their blood, or giving them fluids, or even sometimes some may need even transfusion if their blood is very, very low. So usually it depends on any symptoms a person has and how low is the blood pressure. And are they drinking adequate fluid? Are they eating well? Those are the things we would look at, and then tailor-make treatment for that individual.
And then we have another one again. Uti, good evening, Dokotela. Ama herbs lawa thengiswa ngabantu vele Asia. Can they eradicate BP? Musavoyo we Newton West.
Now, people have to be very careful when it comes to herbal treatment. There is this myth that when something is said to be natural, ailama side effects. And when they say something is natural, it means it's superior than the medicine that people will give them. Medicine has been very transparent in that it always tells people the truth. Utunganati paracetam, ikandalisa. What ungalinata usukunata amaparacetamol 20, amaparacetamol 20 azakulimaza. Or if you take this tablet for so long, be aware ukuthi le side effect enje lilama complications anje. We are trying to be as open as and with information as possible so that we make our people to be more knowledgeable. Unfortunately, most of these herbs are based on economics and they make economic sense. Ngoba wonke umuntu athi niphilizi ngiyalesaba. Nathi iphilizi impela yami yonke. Uzibandlwana nathi iphilizi kuthiwa waba le problem enje. Uzibandlwana nathi iphilizi kuthiwa waba le problem enje. So you then find people then say, nafuna ukuzama into ezinatural ezingalama side effects. Unfortunately, there's nothing without. Even your cabbage, natural. If you eat too much of it, there's also a complication with it. So there's nothing that comes without a side effect as long as it's taken in excess amounts. So those who use them, please use them with caution. If something really works, then your BP should be normal. And please don't make the mistake that many people do. They start the antihypertensives, start on Herbal, their blood pressure goes to normal, then they stop their BPs waiting on my Herbal. Then they forget to go back and be checked. Now, when you start your meds, your BP will go low. If you start your herbs, if you are sure they work, go for a year checking your blood pressure every week. If they do work, it will be normal. If it doesn't work and it goes up again high, they know that no, these herbs. So please use them with caution.
Yeah, people have to be careful because people are out to make money, you know. So like this cures and ungayenzi fogolo nje. Okay, and so dokotela, nxa usunatha amaphilisi, can you at any point stop drinking amaphilisi?
Now, I'm going to be honest with our viewers. We have not found a cure for BP. Please separate the word cure and treatment. When we treat you with blood pressure, we're giving something to lower the blood pressure, not to cure the blood pressure. So yes, once you've developed hypertension, it's going to be for life. Except, of course, in a situation where there is an obvious cause, like I said, something called secondary hypertension, which we used to call secondary hypertension, where your blood pressure is being caused by maybe a kidney disease or something like that. If you treat the primary problem, yes, the blood pressure will go away. But those, for example, who have what's called essential blood pressure, which is blood pressure usually that comes on its own with no obvious cause, but usually associated with aging. Those, unfortunately, it is not cured. So that's why you find the treatment is for life.
It's for life. But Laleli, I advise you to take your medication. I lost my dad in January. He had a heart attack and BP. So it's really, really important for you to continue drinking amaphilisi. And then omunye abuza uthi salibonani emsakazweni ngicela ukubuza udokotela mina nihlezi ngiwomela amanzi okunatha sometimes ngize ngiphelelwe ngamandla kambe kungabe kuyiyo iBP? Okay. I hope awukufrizanga.
Network had started acting up.
Yeah, sorry about that, Balaleli network. As you know, I'm in Austria and Rekota Lapa and udokotela kobulawayo. So network yetitala wala ma glitches. We apologize for that part. But did you hear the question? Omunye uthi utshona ewomile efuna ukunatha amanzi. Could it be ukuthi iBP? Ugcine phelelwa ngamandla.
You had mentioned ukuthi omunye uyawoma. And uyazi ukuwoma efuna unatha amanzi kakhulu. So please come again.
Yeah, uthi uyawoma ufuna unatha amanzi kakhulu and igcine sesiba weak. Could it be BP? Uyabuza la.
Usually not BP per se. BP ayenzanga ukuwomisa umlomo kakhulu, but would recommend them would be check with Trigger. Trigger tends to do that. The Trigger tends to make people thirst a lot and feel like passing urine a lot. So I'd say they should check for diabetes. However, EBP usually doesn't cause warmer umlomo.
Now, speaking of diabetes, let's just head on straight to it. What is diabetes?
What is diabetes? Well, diabetes, what we mean, I think there's one important thing as sugar itself is not a bad thing. And this particular sugar we're talking about is glucose. That is our fuel. It's like the petrol to an engine. It's the fuel that keeps us moving. It's the fuel that gives us energy to wake up in the morning and be able to perform our duties. However, when we say you have diabetes, what we're just simply saying is that your body is failing to process that sugar. Your body, for some reason, iyehluleka ukuthi if ipetrol ingangena phakathi kwetanka lemoto isusa ipetrol ihambise ku-engine. So your body, because the food has been digested and the glucose has been put into the blood system, now the body itself is failing ukuthi that sugar moves from the blood system into the cells. So it now becomes too much. And once that sugar becomes too much, unfortunately, it starts damaging imithambo yegazi. And that is where the complications start.
Uh-huh. And diabetes, how is it classified? Is it like, I know ulama types, type 1, type 2, or what are those types and which one is the worst to have?
The reason we give it type 1, of course, it's just a rudimentary classification. They've changed, of course, over years, but generally we just say there's type 1 and type 2. E-type 1 is a kind of diabetes that tends to occur in the young children. Vele umntwana khona akaproduce insulin, and automatically, most cases, those patients from the word go, we treat them with insulin from the word go. E-type 2 diabetes, that one comes with time. Or normal, then with time, somehow your body then develops a problem where it fails to control the sugars. So you'll find in those people, they do have insulin, but that insulin is either iluchwane or the body has developed a resistance against it. So you'll find majority of cases, those people, we tend to start with tablets, then eventually add insulin if it's poorly controlled. And the type 2, majority of the cases is the one that's related to age, number 1, and number 2, changes in lifestyle. These days, so we strain our body and we tip it to become diabetic. Unfortunately, type 1, genes. So you find majority of people with type 1, there's someone in the family has also had that type 1. So that one, unfortunately, is the most dangerous one because it could and you find most of them then develop complications with time.
So we already know some of it's related to genetic and the age yako. And then are there any medicines like that people can take to stabilize diabetes? Is it almost similar to BP, like or it's just now a matter of controlling how much glucose you take, how much sugar you take?
All right, that's also a very important question. Yes, there's treatment to assist you. Then there's also lifestyle. Now, E-type 1, as I said, already mzimbas are producing insulin. So those ones, unfortunately, they always start with medication. From the word go, versus class of insulin. But type 2 also depends with the individual. Not all of us need to start with tablets. Sometimes we can say, try and control what you eat. Let's see if we can control it by your diet. If you are fortunate enough, you find change of lifestyle, diet, exercise can help to control. The unfortunate ones would start in a bit higher. Those we have to start also on treatment. Now, it's also important to understand that it's also not curable, but it's treatable. So most cases, it's for life. And yes, the medications to control the sugar.
So they have to be really careful when it comes to concoctions, because I know there are concoctions for everything. So I think the advice is also the same when it comes to concoctions, right? Like
yes. Now, the most important thing I want to advise abalaleli is when it comes to concoctions. Yes, Google and internet will tell you so many things, but your blood and your body will not lie to you.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times when sometimes if you start medication, eventually your sugar seems to be controlled. But always maintain checking your sugar to know. If you find it's coming up again, then you know that no, I need to go back on my treatment. But as it comes to concoction, we are yet to find a concoction that works. Most of them are just, as I said, economic concoctions for the money.
For the money.
The money. Yes.
So for laba who don't know that they're diabetic, what are the symptoms like one can expect? Like umlalelo oyi-1 ubesendele sithi uzizwe woma kakhulu and feeling weak because of ukufuna amanzi kakhulu. What are the other things that people should look out for? Like ukuthi kubanike nje a couple of tips ukuthi they could be diabetic.
Most cases in diabetic, they're what are called early symptoms, which we're talking about, feeling thirsty all the time, waking up. Usually waking up is usually the easiest to figure out. If you find yourself waking up more than 2 to 3 times in a single night, then something is definitely wrong, because your body finds a way to try and take out the sugar. So thirst and passing a lot of urine is the first one. However, there are other complications that will occur. There are what we call constitutional symptoms, like unexplained weight loss, unexplained izilonda ezijala ukuba umzimba wonke, ezithatha isikhathi eside ukuphola, all those things, or susceptibility to infections, whereby if you get an infection, it doesn't heal, you take longer than normal. All those things sometimes can be an indication that no, there's a weakness in your body that you need to go get checked by the doctor. And of course, most importantly, family history. If you find your mother or father have been diabetic at some stage, it's always prudent that as an individual, as you grow older, look after your body, learn to go for yearly checkups. Even when you're feeling fine, just go to the doctor, say, no, I just want to be sure that nothing is creeping in my system. Can I check my blood pressure? Can I check my blood? Can I check my sugar? All those things can help us so that we can pick up some of these things early and manage to control them before a complication starts.
Yeah. On the checking part, maybe singabuyela a little bit back to BP. What is a normal BP? Because abanye maybe they have gadgets to test themselves, but abako sure like from what range to what range, what is normal, what is abnormal, and lasechugeleni, like what is normal and what is abnormal.
Okay, now when it comes to blood pressure, there are usually two readings, the top one and the bottom one. Crudely, we tend to say the top one should be between 100 and 140. Then the bottom one should be between 60 and 90. However, in the new classification, there's what we call pre-hypertensive, like just before 140, 135 to 140, or 85 to 90. Those are pre. There's a chance that those are the ones we want to catch, the ones that become before they become hypertensive. So if you find your blood pressure is around 135 over 40, over 85, over 90, you're likely to become hypertensive with time. But the moment it goes above 140 over 90, then you're definitely hypertensive. Then when it comes to ichugela la ilama ranges. Majority you'll find most labs will use 3.5 to 7.6. But as you grow older, sometimes we can allow it to go a bit higher. But the moment it goes above 10, you definitely need treatment. Actually, if it goes above 7, it means your body has started to be sort of weak in processing the sugar. So some people find it is imzimba bethatha isikhathi eside ukuthi process. But ungathola sidlula above 9, 10, then hayi sofuze sikupha amaphilisi ukuthi ichukela yakho ibe normal.
Yes. Okay. Now let's get to the cost part. You know, it's all about the money, Yonkindao. For instance, in Austria, they have a stable medical system and social system. You know, like we literally don't pay for health insurance. Ungagula, you just take your social security number, the katlako. Treatment is free. In Zimbabwe, what can one expect to pay near BP? Let's say diabetes. How much are people meant to split with per month?
Now, it depends now at what stage did we discover this disease. If you're lucky, sometimes you find, yes, government has tried to assist by providing services for the elderly to say if you go to the central hospitals, some treatment is actually free if you're elderly above 65. But shortages sometimes is what then creates the challenge. But general costs, for example, for blood pressure medications, if you're going to use the simple medicine or just one tablet once a day, sometimes you can part as low as $3. But if you're using more complicated drugs and you've got more complications, believe me, the cost can go way above $200, depending on whether you have complications or no complications, which can be a lot. Because on average, if you look at how much our civil servants aim, I mean, parting just with $10 can be a huge cost. It can mean the difference between catching an ET and walking to work. Then for diabetes, it's also the same. Depends at what stage we find you and what regimen works for you. If it's in the early stages, you find we can control it with one tablet and you have absolutely no problem. But the moment it has complications, means the moment you take 8, 10 tablets, your cost will also go higher. So the cost will depend on an individual from $5 to as high as $3, depending on whether you have complications or not, or there's other things that we need to add on. So it varies according to individuals.
Balaleli, unfortunately, asingeke sikhona ukubala ama-messages wonke, but feel free to comment under the video on Facebook. Udokotela, I'm sure he would like to answer my questions. For those of you esingakhonanga ukuthi siwabale, I'm sure we covered the most basic things abantu ade befuna ukuzizwa. Thank you so much, Dokotela. It was a pleasure as usual having you with me.
Thank you so much.
Balaleli, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see each other again next week, same time, same place. Yimelo Miss V saying libele weekend. Enhle.
Good night and have a lovely evening.
Thanks. Bye.